Okay, let's get it going here on a Tuesday. Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. So glad you are with us here today. And, some people call them the doldrums of May. I disagree.
I disagree.
I mean, some great content this time of the year.
Phantom must have won. Anyway, there's a lot going on. Heck, I've been busier than I've ever been in my life. Yeah. It feels like around here. College baseball over the weekend. College baseball tonight in Troy. A couple of teams ranked in the top 20. As the Troy Trojans host the Alabama Crimson Tide tonight in Troy at 6 o'clock.
Does Chris Stewart do the baseball games for Alabama?
No, he used to. He and I talked about that. It's just I don't think they want, and every school does it differently. I don't think they want Chris to do baseball. A lot of play-by-play guys, do them all. I mean, I do them all. Andy does them all. David Kellum, our buddy at Ole Miss, does them all. They don't want Chris to do it, and I think one of the reasons why is because they like Chris to be out on the rubber chicken circuit.
Yeah.
If I can point it out that way. They like him going out and spreading the gospel and all that. So he's not going to be in Troy tonight. It'll be Roger Hoover. Now, Chris has been there before. He's been there many times. It'll be Roger Hoover tonight for Alabama television. I'll have the TV with Jerry Miller on ESPN Plus, and we simulcast it on the radio as well. So you got to watch me.
Well, I would have never had ESPN Plus if it wasn't for you showing me how to get it. And I actually get it free, Barry. I know that amazes you. I know that blows you away.
It's because of your cell phone contract or something
it's like that? It's a credit card deal. I get Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN Plus. They credit my account every month. Now, I can't tell you what's on Hulu or Disney Plus, but I do watch ESPN Plus from time, and I read their articles. There's some good articles.
Oh yeah, that's probably what John gets the most out of it is reading some of that stuff.
When I had that subscription to Playboy, Barry, it was all about the articles. I mean, come on.
That's right. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Whatever. Let me get to the whatever it was, the college football Playboy top 25.
Used to love that.
All right. Now, what is this? How to properly serve single malt whiskey? Okay. All right. I'm into that.
See?
Yeah. Stuff like that.
That was great content. Loved it.
I'll
check that out on ESPN Plus tonight. Yeah, that'll be pretty good. I got to tell you, Barry, I'm still a little going heavy on the coffee. These doubleheader NBA games. Don't want to get into a lot of detail about it.
Come on, we got to talk about it.
I know Ty is really Ty has some questions that I want to get into, but I got to tell you, there's some great games, great finish in that early game. You're talking about ebbs and flows. Woo! Gee whiz, big leads, losing big leads.
Yes, stealing home court advantage. Ty's right about this. That Denver OKC game was great, but it seemed like the last few minutes lasted a half hour. And, it's bumping into the Knicks Celtics game and all that.
How about the last 5.5 seconds of the early game? Woo, that Knicks Celtics game took forever to end. It went to overtime, but more on that later.
Yeah, more on that later. Ty does ask this question. Well, Ty's been logged in, ready to go for an hour and 13 minutes.
Way to go,
Ty. He logged in at 5:50 in the morning, and he said, "Morning, everyone." And there ain't anybody else out there at 5:50 in the morning, but good morning. Ty says, "Can you please explain what it means to steal home court advantage in the NBA playoffs, John or Barry? I thought the higher seeded team had home court advantage from the start. There's kind of a misnomer.
All
right, you got a best of set. You still play the same number of home games, Ty. That's what the number of home games, the actual schedule doesn't change. But in the NBA playoffs, obviously, best of 7, right?
Yes.
And if the home team wins every game, the team that doesn't play 4 games is going to lose every series, right? Because if you play 4 games at home and you win all 4, it don't matter what they do. You're going to win this series. Well, last night, both teams, I'll go ahead and tell you, both road teams won last night. So that means the team that had 4 chances to win 4 games at home now only has 3 chances to win games at home. So even if you win if you win every home game you got, the visiting team is going to win the series because they win a game on the road. That's all that. It didn't change.
Well, I'm looking, Barry, and I'm a little confused. Maybe Ty is as well. I mean, Cleveland and Oklahoma City finished number 1 in their conference. They've got home court. They both lost at home in the opening game, but they are the number 1 seed. They're playing at home. First 2 games will be at home.
Yeah.
Looking at the other, I mean, the Celtics are a higher seed than the Knicks.
Yep. They're playing at home.
Houston's a higher seed than Golden State, so I'm not really sure what he's asking there. I mean, the higher seed.
The advantage now, because both visiting teams won yesterday, the advantage of having, 4 games at home guaranteed if you go 7 games is gone, because now you only have 3 games at home, and if you win all 3 at home, you still got to win a game on the road somewhere. That's all it is. You don't lose the opportunity to host a home game. You just don't have. You just can't sit there and say, well, now if we don't win all our home games, we're in. No. Now both the Thunder and the Celtics have got to win a game on the road, so they lose.
And it's interesting, Barry, of the semifinals, there are 4 semifinal matchups going on now in the NBA. And of those 4 semifinals, 8 teams remain. Of the 4 that are semifinal games, 3 have been played, and the visiting teams won all 3. Cleveland lost in their opener to Indianapolis. I guess that was on Sunday.
Yes.
And then last night, the 2 road teams won as well. So the road teams have had a little advantage. Golden State trying to maybe stop that tonight in Minnesota as the Warriors take on the T-Wolves in their first game of a West semifinal matchup. That would, there again, I'm not going to look it up, not asking you to either, but I wonder how many times in the first game of a semifinal in the NBA, every road team won. And that would be the case if Golden State wins tonight.
That would be rare. I mean, really rare. Somebody just texted me. Yeah, Alabama plays on the road tonight in baseball at Troy. We can bring back some of the old memories of Freddie Kitchens trying to punch a Troy fan through the bullpen chain link fence. And
who says that's not a rivalry? I mean, if you're throwing a punch through a fence, something happened.
Yeah. Here's the deal. When you're heckling somebody, don't put your face up against the fence, because you can do. Auburn does not play a midweek game. Auburn plays their weekend series early. They play at home against South Carolina on Thursday. So Auburn not playing tonight, but Alabama is. Troy is. A lot of games tonight in the SEC. There's 8 games in the SEC.
Theodis, you are right. Roger Hoover was president of Delta House in Animal House, the movie.
Yes.
His character was Roger Hoover.
Yes. Can I have 10,000 marbles, please?
No, that was Flounder.
That was
Roger
Flounder.
Hoover goes, we're going to get expelled. The guys over at the Jewish house said all the answers on our tests were wrong.
Wasn't he also the one that said, I think it would be really good if you weren't here right now, or something like that, to that little girl right before D-Day?
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, his name, I just looked it up. His name is Robert Hoover.
Robert Hoover.
Nobody ever called him Robert. It was always Hoover.
So actually told that kid, off that mailbox, it's federal property, son.
Oh, guys, how in the world have some of you never seen Animal House? You're a better human being.
Yeah, no doubt.
Do. Absolutely.
Definitely top 5. Definitely top 5, yes. No doubt.
So we're checking on stuff all around the world of sports right now.
And I just want to give a shout out to our chat line today. I mean, I know it's slow, but I see some folks checking that NBA out. So, it is, I'm telling you, just give it, it's an acquired taste, but just give it a chance. It's been some really good action. There again, I don't want to get into it too deep, but there were a lot of big leads that dissipated last night.
Yeah, we'll get into that later because that was shocking. I mean, these are the best of the best. I mean, this ain't the bottom of the barrel. This isn't at the Bulls or anything like that. But John asked the question. I've become really good at multitasking, being on camera, but yet also being able to research. This is just to give you context, this is the first time in NBA history that 3 teams that won over 60 games in the regular season lost the first game of the same playoff round. And if the Warriors beat the Timberwolves tonight, I'm not presupposing anything from the Phantoms Daily Dog. I'm just ifing.
Yep.
If the Warriors beat the Timberwolves tonight, it'll be the first time that all 4 road teams have ever won game 1 of the conference semifinals. So this is uncharted waters. Just to give you an idea of how hot the Phantom has been and how difficult it is, what we're seeing right now has never happened. And it's about to be ultimate history because I think the Warriors have a great chance against the Timberwolves tonight. They've been playing well.
Hey, Theotis, I'm not going to turn my nose up at the NHL. I've never been to an NHL game, so I really don't have a feel for the NHL. I'm looking forward to it. I've heard a lot about the NHL, so I'm looking forward to going. I've got some friends in Nashville that say Predators games are, hard to get into, number one, and they're very exciting. So I'm going to take your word for it there, Theotis. I have been to several NBA games.
Yeah.
And I've described it like this. It's kind of like NASCAR. I mean, watching NASCAR on TV doesn't do it. But when you're there, you're going, wow, this is pretty cool. And I found the same thing out about the NBA as well. I can't say the same thing about going to a Major League Baseball game. TV, boring. Being at the game, not as boring, but close.
Well, we're going to get into, like I said, we're hitting on just about everything we can in spring sports and in college and everything. John Dent, you're right. Troy versus Alabama in Troy. Game time's at 6:00. He says time enough for Red's Little Schoolhouse first. You ever eaten at Red's Little Schoolhouse?
I have.
That place is
certainly
the
have.
bomb. It's in, I think it's in Grady.
Is
that right? I've been there a jillion times. My wife and my mom and I go after church a lot of times over there. That's a very solid call, John Dent.
That and it's been a while. I need to go back down there. I think I've mentioned this before on the air. Red of Red's Little Schoolhouse.
I've met him before. Yeah,
is Red Deese, and Red used to cut my hair until I was about 15 years old. From a child to 15, Red was my barber. How about that?
Talk about brush with greatness. Speaking of brush with greatness, one time after church in the buffet line at Red's Little Schoolhouse, I look across on the other side of the steam table, Henry the Disgruntled Aub.
No way.
At Red's Little Schoolhouse.
Nice. Yeah.
Yep.
I miss old Henry. We gotta find a way for Henry to.
I mean, see. He says, "Hey, Barry," and I look across, slightly familiar. I think I've seen him before. And he tells me his real name, which I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, "Oh," and he says, "Henry the Disgruntled Aub." And we fell into, "Hey, buddy, get over here. Come here, you."
Of course, I know his real name as well. I still call him Henry. I mean, I'll see him face to face. I'll call him Henry.
That's what you get sometimes whenever you use euphemisms like plainsman Preston. Well, that is stuff like that. You better get used to it because now more people on the face of the earth know him as Henry than by his real name because of his time on the on
have it.
the radio. So
Barry, when we get back, I want to jump into this before we get to Bryan Matthews, auburnsports.com. He'll join us at the bottom of the hour. Travis Reier on YouTube talking Tide at the top of hour number 2. About this time of year, some financials come out. And the financials for the SEC have come out. And I don't know, there's some interesting numbers that wanted to go over. I know it probably doesn't mean a lot to the average Joe like me, like you, like most fans. But I do find them this time of year to kind of look to see where everybody's, if they're, living financially, doing well financially within their athletic department, living within their means, I guess.
I would, it was very important. That's very important. Yes. That's coming up. Brian, Travis, Gurn's topic wheel.
Oh, yeah.
And
maybe the Daily Dog. Who knows? I don't know if anybody's really, excited about that.
Kidding me? Man, I'm getting worn out by this. Thanks, Phantom. Phantom, I appreciate it. Phantom strikes again. Yeah. We'll get to that as well. We are underway with our Tuesday show. He's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Ford announces employee pricing on every new 24 and most new 25 Fords, and only at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, up to $5,000 below employee pricing, plus no payments for 90 days. From America, for America, at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, home of America's best-selling truck for nearly 50 years in a row, the F-150, with hundreds to choose from. The Ford Escape, the Ford Edge, and the Ford Bronco, all priced at thousands below invoice. And pack up the crew in a Ford Expedition or a Ford Explorer for the beach, the lake, or the big game. It's all at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where price sells cars.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Local banking expertise, the newest innovations and technology, personal attention, genuine hospitality. It's all just part of the Riverbank and Trust difference. They invite you to experience it for yourself. Welcome to banking above and beyond at Riverbank and Trust. Locations throughout the river region, locations throughout the state of Alabama. Riverbank and Trust. Okay, about 18 minutes past the hour here on a Tuesday. I guess we might as well mention it. I've already seen a couple on the chat line. I assume the Braves won last night because here they come. Hey, Braves win. No hitter through 7 innings. Whee!
Yeah. Well, you sounded just like Mrs. Haverkamp or whatever her name was. Yes. Oh, golly, I'm hot today. His name is A.J. Smith-Shawver. He got sent down to the minors 3 weeks ago, and he came back in 8 innings, 1 hit. He took a 1-hitter into the 7th and didn't get ultimately the Braves didn't get the no-hitter done, but they did get the win. They win 4-0 over the Cincinnati Reds at home. 1 hit for Cincinnati, came in the 8th, and that was it.
So this is how I look at it. You say what? A.J. Smith-Shawver?
A.J. Smith-Shawver.
So they brought him up from the minors.
Well, they sent him down, then they brought him back up. He's been in the majors before. He's been up for a little while.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if the Reds didn't have any film on him or something, and the Braves kind of caught the Reds sleeping or something, but obviously that's not the case. Well, Monday games. Some teams aren't into Monday games. That's what Reds probably weren't. Whatever. Monday Braves.
Well, the Braves are playing on Monday too. The Braves are now 16-18. They are only 2 games under 500, and if you do the numbers, they're 16-11 since that debacle of a start at 0-7, and they're in third place.
Okay,
only 6 games off the lead. Atlanta is 10-5 at home. They've been pretty good at Truist Park. 6-13 on the road.
Wonder how many people. I'm just kind of curious how many people go to a Major League Baseball game on a Monday night.
That's a good question. That ain't the night.
No.
Out of the entire week, Monday nights are the.
Got to be a tough night for major leaguers.
Yeah.
All right. So the NCAA financial reports were released recently. I bet that takes a lot of time. Get all these accountants together and crunch numbers and all this type stuff. And
now, I mean, every D1 department has their own CFO. A lot of them have their own department. That's a thankless job. Can you imagine? All right, Coach, I see here that you went on a recruiting trip to Las Vegas. What is this here that you've notated for entertainment? What's that? But Coach, it's $18,000. What's can I get Coach in here? Something about a burner phone that he charged me. That type of a thing. Yeah. You got a lot of numbers to crunch, a lot of travel involved, a lot of reimbursements involved. The lady who does the accounting for Troy Athletics, her name is Javita Lowry. She's awesome, but she works all the time. Hey, so those financials,
you got to love the numbers.
Yeah, that's got to be.
I've always wondered, just curious, how much money Vanderbilt brings in. They don't let us know since it's a private institution, but I'd love to just take some guesses where they fall. I mean, are they above Mississippi State, who brings up the rear just about every year? More on that in a moment. But Alabama had the third most revenue among the 15 public SEC schools. Last year, $140 million. Behind Texas at $204 million.
Okay, 140 versus 204.
204, $64 million difference between Alabama and Texas. Alabama was third.
They're bringing
difference.
They're bringing in 67% of what Texas is bringing in. If I had to guess, if you'd asked me beforehand, I'd have said Alabama would have been about fourth or fifth.
Well, I think
I had no doubt Texas was number one. The big question: who's
a little deceiving about that? About what they brought in. Tennessee was two at $149 million, $9 million more than Alabama. But Bama,
I would have been sure. I would have
$1 billion behind Texas.
I would have guessed number two would have been either Texas A&M or Georgia.
Well,
what's Texas A&M
doing? Georgia was at 1/3. Georgia came in third with $133 million. Oklahoma next up at 131. A&M was right behind Oklahoma. Auburn and Oklahoma. Auburn and A&M were basically right together at about 120 million.
Look, how in the world? And God love them. I spent some of the happiest years of my life in Auburn, Alabama. I mean, at Auburn University. How in the world is Auburn bringing in what Texas A&M is bringing in?
Well,
how in the world?
Yeah, that's a good question. You wonder that, or how is Texas bringing in so much more than Texas A&M is?
What are they doing in College Station? That's an even better question. Why is there that advantage?
That is amazing. Auburn ranked sixth with $121 million in football revenue during that year. This is football revenue. which of course is the bulk of it. I mean, you wouldn't expect any other sport to bring in that kind of money. How about this though, Barry? There are several schools that brought in less than $100 million. How do you compete bringing in less than $100 million? We don't know what Vanderbilt brought in, but South Carolina, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Missouri, and Mississippi State, all less than $100 million. Mississippi State was less than $50 million at 43. How can Mississippi State compete with a school like Texas, who is bringing in $204 million and State's only bringing in $43 million?
That's every year. Next year, they'll fall $150 million more behind. And the year after that, $150 million more behind. In 10 years, Texas will have brought in, $2 billion in 10 years, and Mississippi State will have only brought in 500,000.
How do you make it? And I got to think, Barry, if I'm guessing,
500 million.
Vanderbilt's bringing in more than Mississippi State is. If I'm guessing.
If somebody's doing something right, yeah. I mean, this is the SEC, Jack. $43 million. I bet, and I wish I knew, but I would bet that there are maybe 4 or 5 schools in the group of 5 that bring in more than $43 million.
I'm with you. I mean, maybe that's why Mississippi State's going to Troy, to South Alabama, to UAB, wherever else they go to play, because they don't make any money. They got to go somewhere to get some. That's an embarrassment to this league. If I'm Greg Sankey, I'm doing something about that.
I
Alabama
have no idea.
Was far and away the leader when it came to spending in 2024. $113.8 million was spent on football, much of it doing it with the previous year's coaching transition, well ahead of the $83 million that it had spent the year prior. Texas A&M came in second in spending at almost $91 million, second most among the SEC schools. Auburn was sixth.
And what do they get out of it? You know, what is their return?
Yeah,
on that $91 million.
Again, good question too. You know, haven't been to Atlanta, haven't made the playoffs. Auburn spent $60 million last year. Mississippi State kind of beating up on them. They spent $35 million. How do you spend $35 million but you only rake in 50?
I guarantee you there are probably 6 or 7 group of 5 schools that spent more than $35 million.
When it comes to surplus, this is what's real. Woo, boy. I mean, schools that are the Longhorns are the only football program to cross even the $75 million mark when it comes to surplus. Texas led the way with nearly $139 million in profit for the year last year. Auburn was fourth with $60 million.
See, this is what's really going to help when we get to that house settlement. And some schools, in order to be able to afford to give out $20.5 million to their student athletes across the board, John, you know as well as I do, they're going to have to borrow, or they're going to have to raise student fees, or, you know, which is, to me, which is abominable. You know, who was it that raised their student fees? I want to say it's either Oklahoma State or West Virginia that raised student fees specifically to prepare themselves for the house settlement. John, they're asking their students who are studying chemistry and business and philosophy and agriculture, hey, can you spend a lot more so we can pay this kid $100 million so he can, to pay him $500,000 so he can come here? That's so these schools, what I'm saying is you get that surplus, John, and when it comes time to spend that $20 million for your student athletes, you can just take it out of the bank.
This is what's you look at it on a graph. When it comes to surplus, Texas just about doubles their second of the team that's in the second spot, which is Tennessee, in terms of surplus. Texas about doubles what Tennessee has in surplus. There are only 6 schools in the SEC that have a surplus of over $50 million. LSU, Florida, Auburn, Oklahoma, Tennessee, and Texas. The rest of them under 50. And I know this, varies and changes year to year. But if you're Missouri and you have less than $4 million in surplus, and Texas has about $140 million in surplus, woo, that ain't good.
You are after a really, really good player, and you scrape your pennies together and look in your couch cushions in the athletic department at Missouri and everything, and you scrape up enough to make a really good offer for that really good player to come to your school, and Texas flies in at the last moment and doubles it or triples it. You ain't never going to beat Texas. You ain't never going to, it's hard to imagine. We'll take a break.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Yeah. When we come back, Bryan Matthews, AuburnSports.com will join the program in association with Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Known by avid golfers as one of the most beautiful and challenging stops on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail, Cambrian Ridge in Greenville lies just 40 miles from Montgomery. It is well worth the ride for any golfer looking for 27 holes of jaw-dropping golf. The greens have been redesigned to accommodate the higher green speeds associated with their installation of the latest generation of ultra-dwarf Bermuda grass. Cambrian Ridge offers a fully stocked pro shop with all the latest equipment and apparel. Great food and beverages in the clubhouse can be enjoyed both before and after your round. Get your group together and hit the trail. Go to rtjgolf.com/Cambrian Ridge for tee times and more information.
Introducing Budweiser Zero. 0% alcohol, 0 grams of sugar. Full Budweiser flavor. A refreshing alcohol-free brew that tastes like the real thing. Budweiser Zero. 0 alcohol, 0 compromise.
You're not buying sticks, stems, and pine cones. You're buying premium long-diddle pine straw from River Region Straw. Kenny and his staff have access to the best pine straw in the River region, full of color that will last all season long. Kenny has locations in Montgomery, Prattville, and Auburn, and no order is too big or too small, from a few bales to an 18-wheeler trailer load. Pickup is available, or your order can be delivered. They can even spread your pine straw if you like. So call or text Kenny today, 669-5959. That's 669-5959 for all of your pine straw needs. Okay, back at it here, about 27 minutes to the top of the hour. Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy in association with our friends at Yellowhammer News. Check us out at yellowhammernews.com. You can watch the show. You can get a recap each and every afternoon of what we did on the program. Also available on Facebook, YouTube, X, Spotify, Instagram, all over the place. Check us out. Also hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. And as we tell you all that, we bring in our friend Bryan Matthews from AuburnSports.com. How you doing, Bryan?
I'm doing great. Good morning. How y'all doing?
How surprised were you at how well Auburn baseball played in Knoxville with the conditions and with the fact that some of their players are kind of jerks and their coach definitely and all that and coming through adversity and all that? Auburn wins a series against the defending national champion on the road. That's a statement, Bryan.
It is. And I was a little surprised, but you could kind of see it coming after that Texas sweep on the road for Auburn. They've really bounced back and played really good baseball, really competitive baseball, winning baseball. You can see this lineup starting to come around and swing the bat a little bit better 1 through 9. And I think the major thing is you got some pitching stepping up. Samuel Dutton's been the guy all season, that Friday night starter or Thursday night, depending on the weekend. But now you got Christian Chatterton stepping up. He's a freshman, hasn't given up a run in his last, I think, 23.1 innings. Co-freshman of the week this week. And then you saw Cade Fisher, who had been a starter, moved to the bullpen, and had one of his best outings against Tennessee on Sunday. So you've got some guys on that in that rotation starting to pitch much better. I feel like this team is starting to come together too.
Do you feel me about Tennessee and the way they conduct themselves, Bryan?
It's hard for me to understand what was going on Friday night. It's a driving rainstorm. It wasn't just sprinkles. I don't know why. I'm assuming that's why they skipped the national anthem, which Ike Irish was not happy about. And then they start the game in that their pitcher goes out there and throws the top of the first, gives up a 2-run home run to Ike Irish after he talks trash to Chris Rimbert, who struck out the opening bat of the game. And then the umpires call it then. So Tennessee burns their pitcher. Auburn doesn't burn theirs. And the whole situation, I think, backfired on them, if that's what, Vitello was trying to do.
Well, I mean, hasn't there been a history of Tennessee players and coaches acting and conducting themselves in this way? Like, we're bigger and badder and better than everybody else out there.
I hate schools do that, John.
I think Vitello is just a really aggressive coach. He's always looking for an edge. And I don't know for sure because I'm just making assumptions here. But that's what it seems like. Maybe he thought he had an edge, if both pitchers win an inning, right? Maybe he thought his pitcher could bounce back better than Dutton could.
Yeah. But Barry, I'm dead set against people acting like that, particularly their fans.
Yeah, smug, superior.
Superior. I think they're better than everybody. Nah. No. I don't like that one bit.
We take a firm stand against that. In the bigger, broader picture than just winning the series, what does this mean for Auburn baseball?
Well, they're 13-11. They're still top 5 RPI, number 1 strength of schedule. Now you can see the latest projections have them knocking on the door or in the top 8 national seeds, which would be incredible for this team. And you look at their schedule: South Carolina coming this weekend, second to last in the SEC. Just got swept, I think, at home. They finished at Ole Miss, a pretty solid SEC team, but certainly not the top 5, top 10 teams Auburn's been facing the last couple of months. So there is an opportunity here for Auburn to finish strong, get to 17 or more wins in the SEC, which would probably clinch them certainly a home regional and put them in, striking distance of getting that super regional.
Bryan, do you think, you hear in basketball, well, the SEC tournament's not that big of a deal. We got to worry about the NCAA tournament. Is that the same feeling in baseball?
A lot of times it is, but sometimes even teams that don't put a lot into the tournament end up winning it. It's amazing, really. I mean, you think about LSU, a lot of times they would not go with their top starters or limit them or something. They still end up in the finals or winning it. So, and I think the way the tournament's set up now, baseball-wise, where the top 4 teams get the double buys,
right,
like it's in basketball and softball now. I just think that's a huge advantage in baseball, a huge advantage, just because the way you can set up your pitching. So, and Auburn's in, like a lot of teams, they're still probably up to 10 teams in striking distance of the top 4 in the SEC going the last 2 weekends. So it's still a possibility for Auburn, Alabama, a bunch of teams out there.
They got a lot of things going for them, for sure. It's difficult because I think this morning I checked the D1 baseball poll. Auburn's number 8 in the country, but they're tied for 7th in the SEC.
Yep.
Golly. And they got a lot to like. I mean, they got the great player. I've watched Ike Irish. Of course, he's played against Troy, and I've watched him in other games. I don't know that I've ever seen Ike Irish not hit a ball hard. I can't remember him ever blooping one or hitting a big chopper or anything like that. I mean, he squares up the baseball as well as anybody that I think there is in the SEC right now.
He has been hot lately, especially coming back from his fractured scapula. I think against Tennessee, batted over 400. Just tearing it up right now, hitting for a lot of power, home runs, doubles, RBIs. It's just been a machine there. And the number 3 spot in Auburn's order. And now he's got some guys around him like Chris Rimbert in the leadoff spot, and Cooper Murray starting to heat up behind him. It makes it a little bit tougher for teams to pitch around him.
How's my guy Bub doing? Love that name. There more people need to be named Bub.
I agree with you. I love that name too. Every time it comes up, I just start saying Bub for some reason. But he's in a little bit of a slump, I'd say. Rimbert and Chase Frey, the other 2 freshmen, are kind of hot right now, and he's cooled off a little bit. But he's got such a nice left-handed swing. He's a hard worker out there. You figure he's going to bounce out of that and start getting it going here pretty soon.
Brian, I saw an article. There's some renderings as well. They're going to do a little, I don't want to say expanding, but maybe renovation of Neville Arena, some coaching and recruiting areas.
Yeah, and they're moving volleyball out of there, which gives them a little extra room to do some stuff. So it's not everything that Pearl wanted as far as a separate practice facility just for men's basketball and stuff. But it's the best step they can take right now, they feel, in this era of revenue sharing and NIL with everything else going on. It's just it's tough to go to a booster and say, hey, you got to give to NIL, you got to give this much, and now we've got to pay for this big project. So they are going to do some upgrades there, but certainly not as much as maybe they had hoped to 3 or 4 years ago.
Bryan Matthews is with us, auburnsports.com, like it says on the scroll at the bottom of the screen. It's the first week of May. Official visits in recruiting for football. Are there a few starting to happen, starting to get planned or being executed?
Yes. I'm not sure the exact start date, but this month in June is going to be the big push for 2026 recruiting. You're going to have the official visitors coming in. I think Auburn's just at 6 or 7 commitments right now, but you could see in that double or more, maybe even push to 17, 18 here over the next couple of months. This is going to be a key time for high school football recruiting. This is an area that Auburn and U-Free still emphasize really heavily, and they feel like if they can top the last 2 classes with one more top 10, top 7-ish type class, they'll really be on their way to rebuilding this roster.
Brian, we might have asked you this before. We touched on it yesterday, but I'm just curious. Put aside the fact that we might play 9 SEC games. We have 8 currently, but just in case, just say we do go to 9. Doesn't really matter. If there was one non-conference home and away you'd like to see Auburn scheduling football, what would it be?
Well, they're talking about in conjunction 9 doing the SEC Big Ten, challenge thing.
I remember that. Yeah.
So, I think Michigan home and away would be pretty cool for Auburn, right? I know they played Michigan in a bowl game I went to a while back. I don't remember Michigan ever playing in Auburn. I could be wrong there. Maybe sometime in the past.
I don't think they have either. That. Yeah.
So I think that'd be cool. Notre Dame's a team I think John has talked about a lot. I don't think Auburn's ever played them at home or home and away ever.
Yeah,
I can remember. So that would be a fun matchup, I believe.
Definitely. Of course, I was thinking Notre Dame. That's what I was thinking, obviously. But the Big Ten matchup, I've kind of forgotten about that, and that's kind of quieted down. I mean, we went through a period where we're going to go to 9 games, and the SEC and Big Ten are talking, and there could be this super conference, and part of it will be playing each other. A non-conference game against one another. I wonder if that's going to spark back up at SEC meetings in Destin later this month, but that seems to have gotten really quiet over the last several weeks.
It has. I think the SEC just wants more money to do that, really. I think that's what it comes down to. And if they get that, they're going to do it, I think. And if they do that, you're talking about 9 SEC games, 1 Big Ten game, that leaves you 2 non-conference games. So I think that really limits what a lot of teams will do other than, say, the Floridas, which play Florida State, the Clemsons, which play, the South Carolinas, which play Clemson, Georgia Tech. So that's really going to limit them even more as far as what they can schedule as far as those, group of 6 or 5 teams.
Yeah, you look at it that way. Florida playing Florida State, South Carolina playing Clemson, Kentucky playing Louisville. Yep. Sure, there's others around there. That does make it a little more difficult for these teams if they get into that Big Ten SEC matchup. But maybe it was for schools like Florida and South Carolina. It'll make teams like Auburn and Alabama play another quality non-conference game. So you really only have 1 week non-conference game out of your 12 regular season. You'd have 11 pretty good games.
Yeah, that would be unbelievable to see something like that. That's something I'm used to, right? We're used to spending the first couple of weeks of September, with these blowout type wins before your first SEC game, maybe, and having another 1 or 2, during the season. So yeah, that would be a big change to the way people are used to playing college or watching and consuming college football.
I have such a hard time keeping a calendar in my head, so I don't want to put you on the spot, but is it a week from tomorrow that the NCAA golf regionals begin?
Oh, I have no idea, but I know they're coming up, right?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I know that I have to.
And they're playing at Auburn. At the Auburn
regional,
AU Club.
the Auburn University Club. Yeah.
At least.
Brian, I can tell you a quick story about the AU Club. Years ago, there was a huge event that a company put on every year at the AU Club, and they got some heavy hitters to show up. Jim McMahon was playing in this event.
Was Brian Urlacher in that one or something like that?
I played with Brian Urlacher. He had just gotten drafted by the Chicago Bears. He was coached by Dennis Franchione in college, and I remember asking him, I said, what do you think about Dennis Franchione? Alabama just hired him. He was not very complimentary. And I walked away from that going, this could be a tough couple of years. Jim McMahon walked into the men's room. I was washing my hands, stood right next to me, barefooted, and took his teeth out.
Oh my goodness!
On the counter.
What is going on?
That's also the same weekend that John Daly got arrested in the McDonald's parking lot by I-85.
That was not surprising.
Because his ex-wife was throwing his clothes out of the car.
That just goes to show you how big of a party atmosphere it was at this golf tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a wing dinger over there at the AU Club. Yeah, I can't even remember the golf part of it. I can barely remember the other part of it.
I've been to the AU Club a couple of times and don't remember anything like that when I've been there. So maybe you brought the party, Longshore. I don't know what's going on.
John, these things only happen to him. I got to give you props. One of my favorite lines ever written. I'm a big reader, and I love good writing. One of my favorite lines ever written came in this latest edition of BMAT's Monday Musings from Bryan Matthews at auburnsports.com. Where the musical feature is Chris Stapleton.
Yes.
Yeah.
He says this, quote, Brian writes this, quote, he grew up in Staffordsville, Kentucky, which is right outside Paintsville, which is the home of former Auburn play-by-play announcer Jim Fife.
That's right. You got to work that in there. You get a chance
well
you got to.
Yeah, yes. Jim's a proud son. That's good stuff. I thought, I knew that. And I know Brian knew that.
Oh, yeah.
And how you work that into a story, into a feature, is pretty doggone good. Chris Stapleton is your musical journey this week.
Most amazing thing I thought about him and that was went to Vanderbilt studying, I think it was biomechanical engineering or something like that.
He was the valedictorian of his high school.
Yeah, wow. Really smart dude. Yeah.
I did not. Maybe I should have known this because I know some of his other hits. I did not realize David Allen Coe originally did Tennessee Whiskey.
I remember that one.
I thought it was George Jones because it was more popular under him. That's where you heard it before.
Sure.
It was redone again. But David Allen Coe back in the day.
Man, I know some of his other hits. That one missed. I missed that one. Wow, that's a good one.
Monday Musings brought to you by Uncle Keith's Red Sauce. Tell us about it, Brian.
Give it a try. It's a homegrown product in state right here in their Sporting Alabama business. Publix, Piggly Wiggly, Renfro's, you can find it there. Order online, BMAT15 gets you 15% off. It's very fresh, very good. You will love it.
And, of course, where you're there at auburnsports.com, all the latest info, whether it's recruiting, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, you've got the info. How do people get in touch and get more of what you guys offer?
Yes, the men's golf regional starts May 12th, right on the spot there. So good call.
Okay.
We'll have plenty of coverage of recruiting coming up with the official visits, We'll have updates on baseball, softball. Auburn finishing out their work in the portal here within the next week or two, I think. All that more, auburnsports.com. BMattAU. You can find me on socials. Appreciate you guys.
Also, as part of the Rivals Network, Rivals does a great job with their whatever you call it, their spreadsheets and stuff on the commitment lists of each team and the transfer portal, things like that. You want to get it for the great writing, like Chris Stapleton's from near where Jim Fife was from. But you also, they've also got great, great reference materials there as well. Always appreciate it, Bryan. Thanks so much for the time.
I appreciate you guys. Y'all take care.
You too, buddy. Thank you so much, Bryan Matthews, auburnsports.com, joining us here today on our City of Montgomery guest hotline. Always appreciate his insight. Great stuff from Bryan. Travis Reier in about 10 or 12 minutes from now. A lot to share and talk about on the program today. Bear, I believe that company was Price Oil that had that.
That's my buddy
at the AU Club.
Yep,
put on a shindig, and they got some name folks, but I didn't see Daly get his stuff thrown out in the parking lot at McDonald's. That was on the news feed.
That was rather public.
Yeah.
You might have been the only person because I mean, was it his ex-wife or his soon-to-be ex-wife or somebody else's ex-wife? Was literally throwing his clothes out of the trunk of their vehicle into the parking lot at McDonald's. And I know a lot of people who were either there or said they were there or whatever. She was screaming profanities at him at the top of her lungs. A memorable day, to be sure.
That it was. Is it maybe quick break time?
It's quick break time in association with Yellowhammer News, Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Hey, Marianne is joining me from Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry in Pepper Tree on Vaughn Road. And Marianne, the month of May is here. So many great things going on. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that it's May already. So many exciting things. We've got Mother's Day, graduations, weddings, showers, you name it. In May, we've got it. It's a jam-packed holiday-filled month, and we are ready to go to help you at Marguerite's because it is Earring Fest coupled with the rest of that. So what better way to help celebrate the lady in your life or the person in your life than beautiful earrings? Because, earrings, you don't have to worry about what size. They all fit.
They do all fit. You're right about that. With Mother's Day fast approaching, Earring Fest would be a great way to show Mom how much you appreciate her and love her, and so many different earring styles to choose from. Graduation gifts for the high school and college graduate as well. May seems to be a month that people like to pop the question as well. So you got that going on. And we can't forget, Marianne, Birthstone Emerald. I think I'm right on that for May.
Great job. Yes. I almost forgot. How dare I? Yes. Well played there, sir. It is emerald. So beautiful gemstone, lots of beautiful hues of green. We've got them in store at Marguerite's. Earrings, necklaces, rings, you've got it. So for all the May babies out there, you've got a great birthstone. Make sure that the person you love knows that you love those beautiful green emeralds.
Well, we know Marguerite's is open 7 days a week. Tell us where you're located and your hours of operation.
Sure. We're at 8163 Vaughn Road in the Pepper Tree Shopping Center, 7 days a week, 10 to 5:30 Monday through Friday, 10 to 5 on Saturday, and noon to 5 on Sunday.
May is going to be fantastic at Marguerite's. Make sure you go by and see them. Thank you so much, Marianne.
Thanks.
Okay, couple of minutes, 7 minutes or so until the top of the hour here on this Tuesday. I don't want to, dampen the mood. I don't, got a lot of high energy here this morning, Barry, but the love of money shakes the foundation of college sports. Senior editor Philip Marshall's daily look at the issues and people of Auburn athletics, the SEC, and beyond.
Did you just look at the headline and just skip?
I actually read this. Now, have I read this article before? Not this exact article, but basically the nuts and bolts of it. I've read it before.
Old man shakes fist at world, basically. The love of money is the root of all evil. You know, it's not money is the root, it's the love of money that is the root of all evil. Philip Marshall says the love of money shakes the foundation of college sports. John, the love of money shakes the foundation of everything. And he makes an admission here right off the bat. Philip Marshall, John's favorite writer, senior editor at AuburnUndercover.com. Philip Marshall, he goes, what's the lady? Lily Von Stupp from Blazing Saddles, Madeline Kahn. I'm so tired. He says, quote, this is the lead to his story. I am tired of it all.
Yeah.
I am tired of college athletics being politicized. I'm tired of lawyers seeking out plaintiffs so they can make millions. Wait a minute. That's a thing? Huh. I am tired of judges who know little about the games college students play, applying laws that were never intended for college sports. I am tired of players being viewed as adults when that's convenient and as children when that is convenient. I am tired of what money falling from the sky has done to the sports I have loved since, as a 7-year-old, I sat in the stands at Legion Field and watched Auburn beat Mississippi State 15-7 on its way to a national championship.
Barry, that's where it turns to the ray of sunshine popping through the dark clouds. We hear about that day at Legion Field, which I've read about before, and we read about the state punter being tackled for a safety, the pageantry, the cheers, the excitement before and after the game. That kind of just, the authentic Lloyd Nix and Jackie Burkett jerseys that his father brought him. Toomer's Corner where the co-eds were selling mums.
Now, it has been a while since I have been to an Auburn home football game because my job keeps me at another team's football games. But he says, I remember Auburn students yelling, tiger meat, as the opposing team ran onto the field. Do they not do that anymore? Really? Since when have they not yelled tiger meat? Since when has Ron Anders and the other Auburn mic men through history not done that? Do they not? Do that?
I can't tell you that. I don't know. Do not know.
Unbelievable.
So Philip's leading me to believe that a trip to Tuscaloosa with his father, Bear Bryant, interrupted his press conference to come outside to watch little Philip play and say hello. What? Did he have a Chesterfield in his hand when he did
Phillip
that?
Or Bear? The games on the field and in the arena are more compelling than they have ever been. But college athletes aren't pro athletes. Most never will be. Meanwhile, we are rapidly losing what made college sports special to me and to so many others. That makes me sad.
See, folks, that to me is genius. Because you get a little, I'm not happy with the way things are going. I don't like it, but let me tell you how it used to be, and it was really good and fun and positive and that warm and fuzzy. So you get a little, it's kind of like you get the spicy and the sweet at the same time. Yeah. You get them both.
I remember things being different when I was a kid, but things do change. I mean, I remember going to games. And, you know, they at the University of Florida at the time when I was a kid, you just had 2 sets of bleachers, one on either side, and it was open on the ends. And you'd play cup ball down there and all that kind of stuff. That ain't never happening again. I mean, people who said, I remember when Grandma used to churn butter out on the front steps. And, we used to grind sugar cane and make syrup out of it. Yeah. I think the genius in that lies in the fact that he cranks out another article. I don't know if he gets paid a salary. It's none of my business. I don't know if he gets paid a flat salary or if he gets paid per column or he gets paid per word. But he can sit back and run his typewriter paper out of his manual typewriter, take a look at it, mail it off or whatever, or get some courier to come get it and bring it to the main office. And he can sit back and say, "Job."
So, I wonder, Barry, what Philip's thoughts would be about a 59,000 seat stadium in Auburn and in Tuscaloosa, no upper decks, no video boards, no light systems, no luxury suites. Press box was much smaller. Would he rather have it that way or the way it is today?
Oh, I know what I'd rather have. If you could do it, I think the student athlete had been exploited for a good little while. And so that probably needed to change a little bit in their favor. But I liked it better when there was a little bit more identification with, the players. And because, there's really not anymore. The kid that you saw come in as a freshman, 90% chance you were going to see him as a senior. Now you got guys, you got the TJ Finleys of the world who are playing at 6 different schools, and it's cool, and everybody's okay with that. That's the one thing I miss more than anything else, is just the transient nature of it all. It didn't used to be that way. That kid that I looked at incoming freshman when I was 11 or 12 years old, I'm thinking, oh boy, this would be great. Wait till he's a junior, then he'll really be something. Well, he's going to be a junior, but he's going to be a junior at his third school. I do miss that part.
Yeah, I think the transfer, people have taken advantage of it. I don't think that's what it was intended to be like. Same thing with NIL. I don't think NIL was intended to be 7-figure deals.
Yeah, for nothing, for just playing. Yeah. It was not supposed to be pay for play.
I will say, Barry, I think the game day atmosphere at Auburn and Tuscaloosa is much better than it was when I was a student. It was 59,000 seats. I know it's hard to believe. I mean, it makes me feel like an old goat, but that was the case. Birmingham had the larger facility, and Alabama would play 2 or 3 games over there.
All of the blue hairs, all of the blue hairs, all of the old big-time donors. By gosh, John, they sat in the sun with everybody
They
else.
did. But I do like the game day atmosphere now. And certainly Auburn started that when they brought the Iron Bowl to Jordan-Hare, when they put 2 upper decks on that facility, and they made that game day and home field advantage incredible. And Alabama finally got out of the Stone Ages and left Legion Field and decided, we need to have more of an on-campus environment here. And I wish they would have had it when I was in school up there. That they didn't, but I think what they've got now is pretty unique, pretty special.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Hey, Travis Reier joining us here as he does each and every Tuesday. Reier on YouTube, Talking Tide. Hey, Travis, how you doing today?
Doing great. How are you guys?
We're kind of going down memory lane a little bit here while we're kind of riffing during this segment. Your earliest memories of your college football viewing experience as a young child, Travis, what resonates with you these many years later?
Going to Florida Field with Pops and getting my first sip of a Jack and Coke in 98-degree heat while Jim Kelly quarterbacked the Miami Hurricanes. How about that?
Well, if you're not going to be specific, I'm sorry I asked the question.
So Travis, how long
that's really it. I mean, I went and saw the Florida Gators play the Miami Hurricanes. Jim Kelly at quarterback. It was 3,000 degrees on the turf.
At 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The funny thing was I was at that game as well.
Well, and Pops, like he likes to do or did, he liked to go to the biggest games with 0 tickets in possession. That's what Pops loved to do. And so we would just work these scalpers, and he would just, they would ask him, how much do you want to pay? And he would tell them things like, I'll give you $2 for 4 of them. And this is Miami, Florida, And then they would scoff at him, and he'd say, I'll see you in about an hour when you're giving them away. That's what he would tell the scalpers,
Yeah.
But I remember that game. I think he got in with his Bell South ID. He was a telephone repairman because, of course, he was.
Of course.
And you remember the song "Mr. Telephone Man" and all that stuff.
Oh
back
yeah.
Yeah. He was that guy.
But
they let him in with his Bell South ID, and we had one ticket for the two of us. And so that's a very distinct memory. Another one is Florida, Georgia, probably even before that, and getting out of his big land yacht Buick LeSabre and just smelling the bourbon. As soon as I got out of the LeSabre, just bourbon awash in it, the aroma. That's always been college football to me to some extent. But those are formative years. My maternal grandfather, is a Walker County guy.
Not many people admit that.
Well, you got to be careful.
That's
right.
You can disappear if you're. But anyway, they moved to Duval from there in 1950. So that's how a lot of us got down here. But he was a Bear Bryant fan more so than he was even an Alabama fan. He loved Bear Bryant. And so, I'd watch Alabama with him. And, Alabama was dominant in the late 70s, and Florida was going 0-10-1. So you tell me which way I was going to go.
Larry Ochab. Yeah.
I'm just curious, how long did it take for that ice to melt in that bourbon and Coke?
Well, even in 98-degree heat and a real feel of about 177, it didn't have much of a chance. I mean, I would say, Pops, let me drink down the Coke that you don't want. And I still couldn't get it before he'd have that thing ready to go.
Oh, love it. That is so good.
You talk about a wholesome upbringing, right?
Oh, kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice cold glass of milk and some chocolate chip cookies with your dad.
Yeah. I can relate. I hear what you're saying. I can relate. I remember going to a lot of games at Denny Stadium. Believe it or not, I am aging myself. Back when it was just 59,000 seats. Heck, it was still 59 when I was in school in the mid-'80s. It's hard to believe what the game day atmosphere is now, Travis, compared to when we were young, when there were no video boards, no light shows, no piped-in music, no luxury boxes. The game day atmosphere, totally different than it was when we were a lot younger.
Yeah, and the games took about an hour less to get done. You had your quarter breaks and halftime, and that was about it back in the olden days.
That we were leading up to a point when we were discussing it amongst ourselves before you got on the air, and we'll lead up to that point with you. Is college football more enjoyable now or then?
Oh gosh, nostalgia's gonna dictate a lot of that viewpoint. I still love game days. I still love watching college football. I don't know if I anticipate it like I used to. Like Mondays, you'd already be antsy about Saturday. I don't have that sort of anticipation anymore. But I love watching college football. Now, I'm not one of these people that, other than if I'm covering a certain team or something, a lot of folks can watch replays during the whole off season of games. I don't really do that as much, but I still love watching it live. I mean, to me, TV or in person, it doesn't matter as much anymore. There was a time when, I felt like you got to be there, but as much these days, I like the accessibility to all the games, like a lot of people do. And I like the comfort of my home. I like the price tag of my home. I like all those things. Well,
John has brought that up as well. Travis, can you give us an idea, a perspective from your perspective, how much of a feather in the cap it is? The University of Alabama had the most powerful man on the planet speak at their commencement, plus President Trump, and how that's just from a public relations standpoint, that's a huge deal. How do you think that played?
I think it played huge. It played great because, we know it's a red state to begin with, and then we know it's a it's a Saban state, even more so in a lot of ways. So as you alluded to, so I don't know how it could play any other way than favorably with the fan base and a multitude of areas. I think a lot of people were just happy to see Saban finally behind that presidential seal, like so many people feel like he should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. I thought that was an interesting look. You know, some people we brought this up last week. If Tommy Tuberville does end up deciding to run for governor, you know, people have said, well, why doesn't Saban take his Senate seat? I just don't get the feeling Saban's going to have to. Saban likes to run it his way. What was the phrase you used, Barry, when you get into politics?
Politics is compromise. And Saban's, I don't think he's great on compromise.
Yeah, I don't know how much politics is compromise anymore. But it's a good point about Nick. He obviously likes to run things the way he likes to run them. And look, he's maybe going to be a billionaire before too long.
Whoa,
just doing what he's doing right now. Doing what he's doing right now, he's on track to become a billionaire, it appears. So early mid-70s, obviously he could win if that's what he wanted to do, but unless it's just totally about being a public servant, if that's something that he has on his sort of bucket list, I don't really know any reason why he would go into that arena.
With spring sports happening, you know, obviously softball, baseball are kind of leading the pack here in the spring, and I know we talk a lot of golf. I'm just curious, your thoughts, or if you know, what's it like recruiting a golf team? I mean, Seawill's had some success, won a national title, had some great players come through there, but it seems like he's been on kind of a little slump lately. I mean, got a huge, beautiful new facility out there in Tuscaloosa. Any insight or knowledge on what's going on with the golf program?
You know, John, I think college golf is kind of like other sports that we've seen in the last 10 or 15 years. I think more schools, more athletic departments are putting more of an emphasis on it. You know, kind of like college baseball.
Right.
You know, there was a time when Maine was a staple in the College World Series. You don't see the Black Bears in Omaha very often anymore, and that's in large part because more places put more of an emphasis on it. I think for a while, Alabama had fallen behind in the arms race in terms of facilities and, you know, practice areas and those type of things. They can't say that anymore because of what they just opened there in Tuscaloosa. So I think it's kind of a multitude of things. Kind of like, you know, it's kind of run parallel with even Patrick Murphy, you know, with softball. I think the same thing, you know, and now you're in a league that's added Texas and Oklahoma, who traditionally have had great men's golf programs. And all that being said, I think Alabama made it to the semifinals of the SEC championships here in the last week or so. So if you're top fouring in the SEC, that's still pretty stout. If you just make match play in the SEC, men's or women's tournaments anymore, if you make I think it's the 18 match play after the stroke play,
right.
You've had, you could say that qualifies as a good year, just making match play. So, yeah, I think there's a multitude of reasons. I think, you know, Jay's still as passionate as he's ever been. And, you know, and then there's also things like you had a Nick Dunlap, and then he wins out in Palm Springs. And then a week later, you don't have Nick Dunlap, you know, a year ago. So you're still kind of like the other sports, too. You're kind of held captive a little bit by what your best players may want to do on a year-to-year basis.
Sounds like football, actually.
Yeah, it does sound like football. With the SEC meetings down in Sandestin fast approaching, I was thinking about this earlier in the week. I'd like to get your thoughts about what you think may be on the docket for discussion, because, you know, we've been hearing this SEC Big Ten agreement. Are they going to split off, do their own thing? Are we going to have a scheduling agreement between these two leagues like we're hearing about? Is the SEC going to go to 9 conference games? Do you think those topics are coming up again in a couple of weeks? And what other topics do you think could be discussed?
Yeah, I would think that would be under heavy discussion. It's something that's been thrown around, as you guys know, for years now, as Nick Saban was a big proponent initially of that sort of approach. And I think it's sensible because in some ways it feels like the college football bubble has busted a little bit in terms of what you're going to be able to milk the fan bases for.
Right.
Like when you try to get every cent you can out of TV, but then you're also going up in season ticket prices, but then you've also expanded a lot of these stadiums to 100,000 seats. It always felt like that wasn't going to be sustainable unless some changes were made. And I think that obviously kind of goes hand in hand with what are we going to see with the college football playoff. I mean, it feels like we're going to probably 16 teams in the not too distant future. So you play 9 league games, you play another attractive to semi-attractive non-con or two. You're going to look a lot better, I think, to your fan base, and you're still going to have sort of that security of those extra slots. Now, I think if the SEC does that, it's also a way of saying to the college football playoff people, look, we damn sure want at least 4, maybe 5. You know what I mean? Like, we're playing 9 conference games. We want some assurances before the ball even kicks off, where the tournament's concerned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, you better believe it. When it comes to postseason, the fallout of the NFL draft, the dust is settled. What are all the Jags fans talking about? Are they happy? Is it some mumblings? Or
did they spend too much to get what they got? Did they give up too much?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this for Jags fans. For all of the just mediocrity to sub-mediocrity that fan base has endured, they still will toe that company line pretty well. Now, the end of the last regime, that wasn't the case. But now with the transition, fresh regime, my concern is there's still, to an extent, a presence of that residue from the last couple of decades. But you bring in a Travis Hunter, there's a lot of fans that are going to be enamored with that. And I think they may have given up a little much. It feels good right now. I just think this. I think the future of the Jacksonville Jaguars now rests more on Travis Hunter than it does maybe even Trevor Lawrence. I think they kind of go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. And I think with Travis Hunter, it's going to be about health. If Travis Hunter stays healthy and you got Brian Thomas Jr. on the other side, and more of a commitment to also running the football, I think that bodes well for the Jaguars, regardless of regime or anything like that. But if Travis Hunter can't stay on the field and you don't have a first-round pick next year, that's going to be tough. Because it says to me, too, that the new regime thinks that this team is still in its window with Trevor Lawrence and the guys that they have. So when you make that kind of move to plug that kind of hole or two with what they gave up, that's what it says to me, that we feel like we're just a player or two away from being right back there in the postseason. And that's what they're going for. I think the luxury the new regime has, too, is that they inherited Trevor Lawrence. And so they're either going to come off looking like heroes for kind of getting him where he needs to be in his career, especially with the price tag they now have with him.
Right.
Or if in 2 years, when he becomes more movable, let's say, they can take the stance of, we did everything we could. And, we inherited him. It didn't quite go to plan. Now we feel like we should be able to go out and get our quarterback. So, I think when you talk about the pressure to do it now, it's more on Trevor Lawrence than it is even the new regime. I think the new regime is safe for probably 3, 4, 5 years. But Trevor's got probably 2 years to show he's truly a $50 million quarterback a year. And if that doesn't happen, then you could see kind of a reset at his spot.
Oh.
Travis, is the new football facility, is it near the current one?
Yeah, it's right next door to the stadium, right next door to Everbank. So they're about to do, basically a new stadium on the same spot. But the facility's only a couple of 3 years old, and the way that they, did their future plans was that the Miller Electric facility, which is the indoor and the offices and everything now, it'll be able to be in place there. They won't be displaced from their facility, even when they're going to probably be going to Orlando for the 2027 season to play home games.
Oh wow!
And so they've got a lot to navigate still. I mean, they go to London 2 weeks a year. They're going to play and I've been told they may even look at just staying in London for a month in 2027. So, yeah. So
I was wondering about
how conducive that is to winning. I don't really get it, but that's kind of the way it is.
Or how conducive is that to keeping your fan base happy?
It's tough. It's going to be tough. I just think they feel like this new stadium essentially is going to be such that, that it's going to be that attractive to fans. The other side of that, the economics. Jacksonville isn't LA, as we know.
Yeah. So
affordability in terms of a lot of the fans that probably were sitting lower level on the 10. What's that going to translate to in the new stadium in terms of price?
In Jacksonville, Florida. That
exactly. And even from a corporate perspective, there's only so much blood you can draw from that route.
Well, that's a fair point. Travis Reier on YouTube. So much that you, so much content that you produce. How do people make sure they don't miss any of it?
Just give me a follow on X or Twitter. It's at Travis Reier, TravisReier. You can also catch me on YouTube, Reier on YouTube. Just search Travis Reier or Reier on YouTube there, and you'll find the channel. And we'll talk some Alabama, we'll talk some SEC, we'll talk some NFL as well.
The mental image of Pops fronting like he has to get inside Florida Field to fix a phone line so he can get to the game. That's a beautiful thing.
And the thing is, he pulls out his Bell South ID. He's got on like a 70s tank top with OP corduroy shorts. That guy isn't working on the press box phone.
Service call. Come on.
He's got flip-flops on,
Good stuff, Travis.
He's working on a press box phone. Come on.
I love it.
He got in, though. He got in.
Hey, he got in. That's the most important.
He loved it. He loved it.
Got in.
Appreciate you, Travis.
Travis,
all right.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it as always. Travis Reier, our man on our City of Montgomery guest hotline, tank top and the OP shorts. Woo!
And hey, I got to get in. Here's my Bell South ID. I got to get in.
Great.
There's a problem with a phone line. Nowadays, you do that, and they're like, what in the heck's a phone line?
What is Bell South? What are you talking about? Oh, too much. All right. Man, 22 minutes past the hour. Tobias has chimed in. Really appreciate him getting in on the chat line as well. I guess, I don't know if we have time. I don't know. Maybe go over and see what the Phantom's Daily Dog did yesterday.
We'll dabble in it when we come back. People do have expectations. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Phoenix Physical Therapy is ready to help patients recover, recharge, and rise. They develop a customized therapy plan for each patient to get them back to enjoying their favorite activities. Their experienced team is committed to providing exceptional care in a professional environment. Whether you're looking to prevent or treat an injury, recover from a recent illness, or recuperate from surgery, schedule an appointment with our clinic and take advantage of our physical therapy, athletic training, workers' comp, and employer solutions service. Experience elevated physical therapy today. Call Phoenix Physical Therapy at 239-9316. That's 239-9316.
All right, man, grab a Budweiser and take a knee. It is the best time of the year. It's baseball season. That means sunshine. It means behind-the-back peanut tosses. And it means sharing some cold, frosty Budweisers with your boys. Because there's nothing more American than watching America's game with America's beer. So let me ask you something. Are you ready to bring your A game? Are you ready to cheer every frozen rope down the line and amazing catch at the warning track? Are you ready for pitchers' duels and slugfests? Tell me, are you ready for the thrill of an incredible walk-off victory? I can't hear you. Are you ready for Budweiser and baseball? Then get on your feet, raise an ice-cold Bud, and let's make this season larger than life. Great times are waiting. Grab some Bud!
Enjoy responsibly. Budweiser Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
Why Hands? At Hands Heating and Air, you get this area's highest ranked service provider with 24-hour repair service, no overtime charges, and their same-day service guarantee. Plus, instead of other companies' 30-day repair warranty, Hands gives you a 3-year repair warranty. Hands Heating and Air is here for you 24/7, 365. And service is not just something they do, it's their way of operating, for you in mind. All of Hands employees are trained to adhere to this standard. They work hard to ensure that this standard is maintained, and they are constantly looking for new ways to better serve you. Call Hands Heating and Air today at 508-5382. That's 508-5382, or find them on the web at 834hands.com. Okay, 25 minutes past the hour here on a Tuesday. Longshore and McKnight in association with our friends at Yellowhammer News. Check us out at yellowhammernews.com. So, Barry, British food, fish and chips, shepherd's pie, something called bangers
Bubble,
and mash or something.
Bangers and mash, bubble and squeak, spotted dick. Spotted dick is actually a dessert.
Oh, what is it?
Something you need a salve for. I don't know, but I've never had it. But it reminds me of the old saying about Canada, and our buddy Gary Gallant's probably watching. Canada had a chance to have French cuisine, British culture, and American technology, and they ended up with British food, French French technology, and American culture. British food's no bueno.
I haven't gotten, I'm not a big British food guy. I'm trying to think of some British food. Somebody actually brought up the Canadian Prime Minister on your chat earlier today. Is he meeting with Trump later today or something?
Yeah, they got a new Prime Minister, and he's a bit more liberal, or he's liberal. I don't know if he's as liberal as Trudeau, but anyway, that's a big deal. I'm trying to focus here. This is before we get to the Phantom. And I'm just going to read this. This is from I think it's Adam Rittenberg, who covers college football. This is on Twitter or X. And I quote, Clemson and Notre Dame are set to announce a 12-year scheduling agreement that will run from 2027 to 2038, pitting the two national brands against each other annually. It's a boon to Clemson with the new brand-based revenue distribution in the ACC. This agreement supersedes the ACC deal. So if Clemson were to ever leave the ACC, they would still play Notre Dame each year.
All right, so my first question.
12 years, John, home and away.
Actually, I've got a lot of questions. Number one, what about the other teams in the ACC? I thought Notre Dame rotated around.
They do.
Georgia Techs, the Miamis, the Boston colleges. So are they still going to rotate with those ACC schools, but still play Clemson every year for the next 12?
See, Notre Dame, it's a screwed up deal. Notre Dame plays a partial ACC schedule. To John's point, in case you didn't know, they don't play a full ACC schedule in football. They're full ACC members in baseball, men's and women's basketball, blah, blah, blah. But football, they play a partial schedule. Now, when they first came in, I think it's been, it's been eased in since then. But when they first came in, they had some games that were already scheduled against ACC members. I think Georgia Tech, but I could be wrong, where they would still play that game, but it wouldn't count in the ACC as an ACC game. It wouldn't count as an ACC deal. That's my understanding here, is they'll still play a rotating round of ACC games, but they will play Clemson each year. And I only think that it will count as an ACC game on those years that Notre Dame was scheduled to rotate in on Clemson.
The way I see it, game. And Clemson probably doesn't care if it's an ACC game or not.
You're right about that. Yeah.
Clemson and Florida State for that matter, but Clemson, since we're talking about them, have been kicking and screaming about wanting to get out of the ACC. The other teams in their league do nothing for them but bring them down, basically. If they're not playing Florida State or Miami, these other schools are not doing a thing for Clemson in building their brand and getting them the national exposure that they need, that these Big Ten and SEC schools are getting. So what do? They work up a deal with Notre Dame to play a brand game every year for the next 12 years. That'll be on national television. It'll be the big game of the week.
Home and away.
Big games of the week. So when playoff time rolls around, well, you played Syracuse and Wake. Yeah, but we played Notre Dame too and beat them.
What was it that famed Atlanta Journal-Constitution columnist and humorist Louis Grizzard called Clemson? Called Auburn?
Well,
no, called Clemson. Called
was
Clemson.
Auburn with a lake.
That's my big question.
Yep.
How in the world can Clemson get a 12-year deal done with Notre Dame? How can Clemson, what has Clemson got? What was that song from the Producers in the 1980s? What have they got that I ain't got?
That I ain't got. She's got you.
How can Clemson and Auburn are very comparable, right?
I believe so, yes.
Get a 12-year deal with Notre Dame, and Auburn is still like, yeah, I'll wait.
So
the athletic director at Notre Dame is there, right? Okay, all right.
Yeah, and I'm not going to get on to John Cohen. Not going to do it. I mean, could he have made that call? Sure, he could have. Certainly.
Making the call is one thing. Getting a 12-year deal done is another.
I got to say this, Barry. There's another school in this state that could have called up Notre Dame and scheduled a 12-year deal.
Troy, I'd love it.
I just, Notre Dame and Southern Cal play every year. I don't know why Notre Dame and say, Alabama. Why can't they play every year? Now, some people have gotten really crazy and silly and said, well, maybe there's a team Alabama could drop and pick Notre Dame up every year.
To which John says, okay.
I'm all in. Where do we sign the paperwork?
That is crazy.
But I'm still holding out, Barry, for Notre Dame to be a member of the Southeastern Conference. And people say I'm crazy. You're
crazy.
Stupid. Well, but there again, Greg Sankey kind of hinted at it that, took a little jab at the Big Ten about how they got schools spread out all over the country and travel's a mess. And in the SEC, all of their member institutions, all the states join one another, all contiguous states there. Well, you look at where Notre Dame is in the state of Indiana, it touches Kentucky. Got that.
It's on the exact total opposite end of the state, but here's,
still got
it's like the Big Ten. They've got no, even better. It's like the ACC. The ACC softball tournament bracket is set. They'll play next week, or later this week, and I think they play in Charlotte. Two of the worst softball teams. Am I right here? Maybe it's baseball. Anyway, one of them. Two of the worst baseball teams in the ACC are Stanford, which used to be great, and Cal. They've got to play. They're looking squarely at having to play a play-in game. a single game elimination, and if they win it, then they get into the double elimination round. They've got to fly their baseball teams, 35-plus players, all the way across country to Charlotte, North Carolina, to play in the ACC tournament in a single elimination game. One of them's going to have to pick up and fly right back after one game. Notre Dame.
Didn't that happen in the basketball, Barry? Didn't Cal play NC State or something in Charlotte?
And lost and had to go back.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that wouldn't happen, but does it need to happen? No. But it probably will. I'm just, I'm sitting here. I'm trying my best, to postulate that Notre Dame's not that big of a deal. Well, why would Auburn play Notre Dame? To which John would always say, "It's Notre Dame." Oh,
I got to tell you, Barry.
And then if Clemson signed a home and away, I'd be like, "Oh, okay." 12 years.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous. I got to tell you, I got to admit it. I was very opinionated about Auburn never scheduling Clemson again for a regular season home and away. We've been there, done that, seen it enough. Now we got Clemson kind of stepping away, doing their own thing, thinking outside of the box.
True.
They're not scheduling Baylor. They're not scheduling Miami. Well, they got to play them anyway. I mean, Clemson's playing just about every school in the SEC that'll play them. They're playing LSU, Texas A&M. I think Florida's on their schedule coming up. Georgia.
They've got Troy on the schedule this year. Yeah, well,
they've scheduled 12 games with Notre Dame.
They've got home and aways with Georgia. Clemson, I'm speaking of. Home and away with Georgia. Obviously, South Carolina. Home and away from the Bejeebers belt on with Notre Dame. Oklahoma. What is it about Clemson? I've done football games from there. I'll do one again this year. What's the big deal about Clemson?
I think Auburn message board guy, and I'm not an Auburn message board guy. I just read them. I don't write. Is it lurking if you pay for it? I've always wondered about that. I mean,
you got to post once in a while,
Yeah,
add a little something to that conversation.
I'm ready for Auburn message board guy to say, okay, I want to know what our non-conference schedule is going to look like in future years. Got to make some plans. I mean, who wants to go to Waco, Texas? I mean, really? On a Friday night? Come on. Now, Miami's not so bad, but I can promise you there ain't going to be 40,000 people at that game. And it'll probably start at 1 o'clock. It'll be hot. You think that that ice is going to melt quick? Yeah.
Shoot.
Big time.
Uh-huh. All right. That just came across my desk here, and I just figured
I got to tip my cat to Clemson. I mean, they were thinking outside of the box, said, let's do it,
Yeah, what if you leave the ACC? Don't matter. Notre Dame will still be in it. We'll still play this game.
I hear Clemson fans go, well, we might lose. Doesn't sound like that to me. Their mindset is we're going to go to South Bend and win. Wish other schools would think that way.
All right. Speaking of winning, the clamor has reached a crescendo here.
Let's see.
What happened with the Phantoms Daily Dog from yesterday?
If you wouldn't mind pulling up the line score from last night's New York Knicks at Boston Celtic game. I think the line score is really interesting to look at.
Yes.
Actually, both the games last night, you could look at the line score.
Yeah.
True. Think about it. But that game in particular, you had the Knicks at Boston as an underdog, and there were a lot of swings and momentum changes in that game. The Celtics were up big at some point in that game.
20 points. 20-point lead. 20-point lead at home.
Then they scored 7 unanswered late in regulation to cut it to what they evened it up at 100.
Yeah.
As they went into over. So they're up 20 They're down by as many as seven. Late in the game.
They had to scramble just to get it to OT.
Yeah, they did. They did get the last shot with 0.6 seconds to go, but it was a crappy effort, I will admit. It was not very good.
Not very good.
So they go to overtime, and I'm not even sure they showed up in overtime. As the New York Knicks go into the Garden as a 9.5-point favorite, Barry, and win the game outright.
In overtime, down 20 at one point, the Knicks steal home court advantage, and they win game one at TD Garden in Boston. 20 points, second half, and the Celtics can't close it out. Final score in overtime, Knicks 108 and the Celtics 105 in Boston.
It was a good one, Barry. As a matter of fact, before they went to overtime, before the Celtics got the ball back with 0.6 seconds to go, the Knicks had an open floater that I'm thinking, how did that not go in? As a matter of fact, they're all looking at each other going, how did that not go in?
How did that not go in?
To win the game in regulation, but they did end up winning it in OT. Now, Ty earlier this morning said the officiating wasn't real good in that game.
Whatever.
I didn't see it that way.
Ty also points this out. The Celtics missed 45 shots from three-point range. You're looking at no, come on. They were 15 for 60.
Well, they hit a big three right before the end of regulation. I do know that.
Yeah.
I saw it go in.
Okay. Anyway,
so
as it relates to the Phantoms, Daily Dog.
Barry, that is, if you're keeping count, that is the 7th straight cover. Seven in a row. Yes. The Phantoms Daily Dog, 7 straight covers. So you're thinking, where is the Phantom going tonight?
What was the line for that one last night? It was 9.5, 8.5.
Catching 9.5. Won the game outright.
Easy. Okay. Yeah.
It didn't even need it.
Didn't need it.
All right. So tonight, Barry, obviously 2 games. We have 2 underdogs. There's not a pick 'em tonight. So both games, there is a dog, there is a favorite.
Okay.
And I've looked at both of these games closely.
From both sides.
But this game stands out. And it will be the first game tonight in the NBA. And it's where the Indiana Pacers are traveling to the Cleveland Cavaliers, 6 p.m. on TNT. Believe it or not, Barry, Indianapolis leads this series 1-0.
They did. Physical game. Cavaliers, again, it's been a theme early on in the conference semis. Cavaliers lost at home Sunday night. Cavaliers in that game, their point guard, Darius Garland, who's an all-star, sat that game out for the Cavaliers with a sprained big toe.
Ooh, that's like Sergeant Holcomb, you know? Woo.
Yeah. It's like Eddie Lacy for Alabama. Eddie Lacy had turf toe all the time. John, it's the daggum playoffs.
Yeah.
Sprained big toe?
That'll hurt you.
Out?
That's tough. That's tough.
All right.
But Barry, here's my thinking here. 6 o'clock TNT tonight. Pacers at the Cavs. The world, I used this analogy not too long ago. The world is going to be on Cleveland tonight.
I thought you were going to say they need ditch diggers.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah.
Because the Cavs are 1 game down. They lost that game at home.
They're playing
at home tonight.
Yeah.
The world is on the Cleveland Cavaliers. No way they go down 0-2. No way that's going to happen. Okay, they might be right.
The number 1 Eastern seed.
Correct. Number 1 overall seed in the East. Yep. Had a good regular season. World's on them. But not the Phantom. Cleveland might win the game. That's okay if they do, but they're not winning by more than 9. So we're taking the Indiana Pacers plus the 9 at Cleveland tonight, because as I mentioned, the world is on Cleveland.
That's why the number's 9.5.
Thinking, no way, Cleveland will bounce back with a rout tonight. That's not the way the Phantom sees it. So the Phantom's daily dog, the Indiana Pacers, plus 9 at Cleveland tonight. Cleveland might win the game. Hope they do. Hope they win. Just not by more than 9.
It took God 7 days to build the world. It's going to take more than 7 days for the Phantom to lose one of his daily dogs.
Yeah.
Just to give you some perspective here. Let's take a break. When we come back, the fabled Gurn Jr. Victoryland 777 topic wheel to close out the Tuesday show in association with Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Located just 8 miles north of Alabama's state capital, Capitol Hill features 3 18-hole championship courses. With more than 1,500 acres of golf and nature, the pure magnitude of this facility is amazing and allows each course to be drastically different from the others. Capitol Hill also features an innovative 360-degree driving range, 400 yards in diameter. Capitol Hill offers a fully stocked pro shop with the latest equipment and apparel. Great food and beverages in the clubhouse can be enjoyed both before and after your round. Get your group together and hit the trail. Go to rtjgolf.com/Capitol Hill for tee times and more information.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Don't miss your chance to win big at Victoryland Casino. Play the latest, hottest, most exciting games around with fun bonuses and big jackpots. Don't miss out on your free play. Stop by Player Rewards today and check out this month's exciting free play promotions. Come see why our players keep coming back. You'll have more fun at Victoryland Casino, where you can be a winner too. Victoryland Casino, located off I-85 exit 22, Shorter, Alabama. Must be 21 or older.
During the break, I was thinking, what is a pacer?
Well, I think it's what they call those horses that run with the good horses, and get them ready for the stakes race or something like that.
Yeah, I just was wondering, why is the Indianapolis basketball team called the Pacers?
I don't know. I do remember this, and I'm old enough to remember this. The Pacer was also a dreadful car put out by AMC.
Correct.
In the 70s.
Yes, the Gremlin.
The Gremlin, which was ugly. The Pacer, which kind of looked like a big contact lens. So they also had something called the Matador, which was featured in The Man with the Golden Gun. Was it?
Yeah. Yep. That was AMC was featured prominently.
Gremlin, the Pacer, the Javelin.
So the Javelin, Barry, the Alabama State Troopers had some Javelins as official state trooper cars, and the thinking was they were so fast they could run people down that were speeding on the interstates. There's actually one in the Archives and History Building, I believe, downtown, of an old Alabama State Trooper car that was an AMC Javelin. Yep.
Used to have, way back before I was born, they had the Rambler.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, John's right. They had the Gremlin, which looked like the back half of it got chopped off at an angle. The Matador. I remember the Matador for one thing. They had a a hood that, I mean, you could spread a blanket out on and you could be 6'9" and you'd fit on that. That hood went on for days. Was the Pinto? No, the Pinto's a Ford.
It was a Ford. So Barry, the Matador was Scalamanga had a Matador and he put the wings on it and the car could fly. Remember when he and McKnight went into that barn and put the wings on?
That was a Matador?
I believe it was a Matador, yeah.
Okay.
And then, of course, the car that Bond did the corkscrew jump off the bridge was a Gremlin, I believe.
Yeah, I sure am, boy. You know, with Sergeant J.W. Pepper.
You know, that movie never got a lot of a positive pub. I thought The Man with the Golden Gun was pretty good.
Didn't care for it. Now, Live and Let Die?
That was a good one.
They actually, I mean, that was actually, there was no CG back then. They actually made that corkscrew jump. I think they made it in the first.
Yeah, that was in The Man with the Golden Gun. Diamonds Are Forever with the boat chases through the swamps of Louisiana. Man with the Golden Gun was in Thailand. That movie was filmed in Thailand. But the sheriff was in both movies.
Oh, yeah, he was. Yeah.
The sheriff was in both movies.
Get that chicken coop off the road.
Okay, let's go to Gurn Jr.'s Victoryland 777 topic wheel. Yeah, let's see what we got on the wheel today. Chris is ready to go, and we're going to spin that bad boy, and here we go. Victoryland 777 topic wheel. Exit 22 off 95 in Shorter, Alabama. Huh.
Was this a Chicago song?
Major Ogilvy wore 42. Johnny Musso wore 22. Am I in the – no, I guess not. Here we go.
Oh, yeah, Nikola Jokic. 42 and 22. Nuggets beat the Thunder. Again, stealing home court advantage. Jokic, he is, again, we talked about it yesterday. They need to really start managing his minutes because they are a shell of their team
and
when he's not out on the floor.
Was up by 20 in this game at one point, I believe. It loses at home.
42 points in 42 minutes for Jokic.
Jeez.
22 rebounds, 6 assists. And the good thing is he had 5 personal fouls. But he could still play.
Yes. Yes. I'm a big fan of increasing that in college, too.
Yeah.
There's been a little talk about that years ago. Look, I'm not watching a college game to watch a guy sit on the bench. You know, go 6 fouls in college, too. I'm all for that.
Well, tell him to stop fouling. Okay, yeah.
I like a little more physical brand of basketball.
That's why he likes the playoffs so far, because, I mean, they've been each other
love
up.
It.
There you go.
All right, Gurn, let's spin the Victoryland 777 topic wheel, Victoryland, where you can be a winner, too. And here we go. We're spinning it around. 4 topics left. Where will it land? Nobody knows.
Oh, stop it.
Caruso?
This can't be Alex Caruso, one of my favorite players.
Mm-hmm.
The first player in the steals and blocks era to register 20-plus points, 5-plus assists, 5-plus steals, and 2-plus blocks off the bench in the playoff era.
You know, there are hope for bench players. I wish I'd have known that back in the day.
Yeah.
It's impressive coming off the bench to do that, man.
Yeah. I remember calling a game. He played at Texas A&M. And I remember one year they played Troy down there at Reed Arena. And I'm thinking, he was a freshman. I remember, who is this guy? He plays for the Thunder. And, of course, they lost. But 26 minutes, 20 points, 6 assists, you know, all that kind of stuff. He's a big, tall, geeky-looking white guy who's balding. He used to have the comb over for a long time before he finally just shaved it off and put a headband on. He is the least likely-looking NBA player since Paul Mokeski or since, Sean Bradley. Yeah.
Who was the guy that played for the Lakers? Kurt Rambis.
Kurt Rambis. That's another good get. So, anyway. All right, so there you go. Good one for Caruso.
Kirk Rambis. Where did he play college ball?
I don't even know if he did. Yeah. Always had the horn rim glasses.
Yeah, man. Yes. Playing basketball with glasses on, that seems kind of dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, if you got to wear glasses, do like Kareem did.
Yeah.
You wear the big goggles. Let's see. He played at Santa Clara.
Oh, okay. It's a California product. All right.
Same college as Steve Nash.
Okay. Tobias, I did not have a Yugo. I don't know anybody that had a Yugo. Now that I think about it,
I remember Rod Bramlett had a Renault.
Oh, a French car.
Yes,
or is that Italian? That's an Italian.
French.
French.
I remember because it. We used to ride around on it a lot. He would stomp on that thing. I mean, he would hit the gas pedal, and it took about 20 seconds to get up to the desired speed.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's go. Come on.
Kind of like a Peugeot or a Saab. Remember those cars?
Oh my gosh. Way into the archives. Okay, here we go.
Let's spin it, Gurn. Let's see what we got here. Victoryland 777 topic wheel. 3 topics left, 3 colors to go. Uh-oh. This guy didn't get a bad hit.
Was this the... Oh, okay. I thought this was maybe because it's like the 50th anniversary of the Cheech and Chong album, Still Smoking. Maybe they had a bad hit. Sam Bennett becomes the villain again after a unprovoked hit. This is hockey.
The 2 best chances tight around. No, it wasn't the knee. It was the forearm.
Ooh. Got the goalie.
Oh, nice. And it's kind of in a there's a lot going on there. So he's thinking maybe I can slide this little cheap shot in there without the officials seeing it.
Yeah. Oh. How about him?
Yeah, that's one way to open up the pipes there.
There was no penalty. This was between the Panthers and the Maple Leafs. Maple Leafs goaltender Anthony Stolarz in the hospital for an evaluation. Elbow to the head.
Ooh. Elbow to the head.
Yeah.
Ooh.
They didn't see it. They didn't see it.
I see.
Knocked him to the ice. He got back up. Now this is the goaltender. This is Stolarz, who got hit, who took the elbow to the head. He got up, tried to gut it out, played another couple of minutes, and then he threw up.
Oh,
so, yeah. We don't want the. I'm sure Gurn's got the video clip
little
of that.
Wheezy,
that.
Little wheezy. Oh,
so yeah, he's being evaluated for a concussion. Yes.
Okay, hope he turns out okay. All right, 2 more to go here on our Victoryland 777 topic wheel. Open 24/7, I-85, exit 22 in Shorter, Alabama. Troy, it lands on the Troy Trojans. No Bears going to be traveling later in the week. So what's going on with Troy athletically?
Plenty of stuff midweek. Troy baseball hosts Alabama tonight. My buddy Matt Hardigan already has checked in on the chat line, rooting for the Trojans. 6 o'clock tonight, Troy and Alabama, both teams ranked in the top 20. I think in one poll, Troy's number 14. Alabama is number 16 in one poll. 6 o'clock tonight, you are encouraged to wear Cardinal if you're a Troy fan. Tomorrow starts the Sun Belt Conference softball tournament. That's being hosted by Troy. Troy plays in the opening round tomorrow night. They play in the second game of the day against James Madison at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. So lots of midweek stuff going on.
Where
for Troy
is
athletics.
Troy softball facility?
It's on Elm Street. You know where the Troy Golf facility is? Of course, right there at the corner of Elm and George Wallace. It is edged right up next to the golf facility on Elm Street, heading downtown towards the square.
Yep, know exactly where that is. Yep,
there you go.
Sure do.
Do we have time for one? Oh, yeah.
You better believe it.
One more.
Got to spin it to make it official here on the Gurn Jr. 777 Victoryland 777 topic wheel, and it's going to end with Bad Blood.
Now, some people will say that's a Taylor Swift tune, but I remember it really well from Neil Sedaka.
Yes.
Bad Blood. I don't think that's
Bad Blood.
Yeah.
You could turn that on and you could move your speakers in your car and it would only play on one speaker. You wouldn't play over there. I always thought that was kind of like California Dreaming, same type thing.
All the leaves are all in. Is there Bad Blood? In the Warriors Wolves series?
Oh, What do we got here? Gurn's highlighted something there. Yeah, I hope, man, look, I hope I don't want a bunch of touchy-feely, friendly NBA games.
Yeah, the game is filled with bad blood. Jimmy Butler, who used to play for the Timberwolves, he returns to Minneapolis. Then he trashed his teammates and forced a trade and all that kind of stuff. Rudy Gobert, the Wolves center, and Draymond Green have a long-running feud. Green was suspended for 5 games 2 years ago for putting Gobert in a headlock.
Remember Lou Holtz did that to an official in Tuscaloosa one day when he was in South Carolina.
He was explaining. He wasn't doing it because he was mad at him. He was explaining that his offensive tackle or that their offensive tackle was holding his defensive end, and he showed the referee exactly how. So
yeah, I'm not sure you're supposed to do that, but anyway, he got away with it.
There you go. Should be good. That is a Longshore kind of game. A little bad blood, headlocks, yeah. Trash talking, more please.
Love it. Fouls, love it. All right, 2 NBA games tonight. I'll be checking that out. We'll recap them tomorrow. Also, CJ Duncan from Yellowhammer News will join us on the program. We got a lot of other conversation. We always do, and we appreciate you being a part of what we do with our chat, with our Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry email inbox, and, of course, with our good friends at Yellowhammer News at yellowhammernews.com.
Yes, in association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.